All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to tear down one of the biggest myths in business. This idea that we have of a perfectly rational customer. We're going to get into why your customers absolutely do not make decisions like they're filling out a spreadsheet, and unpack the real, much more interesting story behind the choices they make.
So think about it for a second. Your business strategy. Does it kind of assume that your customers are sitting there, methodically weighing the pros and cons, maybe assigning some numerical values, and then logically picking the absolute best choice? For most of us in business, that's the default setting. But what if that whole model is just wrong? What if the human brain is wired for something completely different? So on one hand, you've got this classic rational model. It's clean, it's tidy, it makes it seem like we're all little economists walking around with calculators in our heads. But the evidence, well, it points to a very different reality, the reason-based model. See, our minds aren't really built for all these complex calculations. They're built for stories, for justifications. We don't hunt for the best option on a spreadsheet, we look for the option that has the most compelling reasons attached to it. And what's so fascinating is just how powerful this need for reasons really is. It's not always about how good the reason is, but simply that a reason exists at all. This idea was perfectly captured in a classic study that shows our almost knee-jerk automatic response to a justification. Okay, so the setup was super simple. An experimenter went up to people who were just waiting in line for a copy machine and asked if they could cut in. They tried this with a couple of different scripts, and, well, the results were pretty eye-opening. So check this out. When the experimenter just asked to cut in with no reason, about 60% of people said, sure, okay, fair enough. When they gave a solid reason, because I'm in a rush, compliance shot way up to 95%. Makes sense. But here is the absolute kicker. When they gave a totally circular, basically useless reason, because I have to make copies, which of course is what everyone in line was there to do, the compliance rate was 94%. It was almost identical to the good reason. The magic word was because. It just triggered this automatic acceptance, even when the reason itself was completely meaningless. All right, so if just giving a reason, any reason, is so powerful, then it should follow that adding more benefits or promotions should always make your offer better, right? I mean, more reasons to buy should equal more sales. Well, this is where that reason-based model gets really weird and kind of flips rational logic completely on its head. Imagine this. You're about to buy a $1,000 product. You're ready to pull the trigger. And right at the last second, the salesperson says, hey, I can give you a $5 discount. Now, rationally, the item is cheaper. It is objectively a better deal than it was a second ago, so you should be more likely to buy it. But that's not what often happens. Instead of seeing it as a nice little bonus, your reason-based brain can actually interpret that tiny discount as a weak reason to make such a big purchase. It can actually cheapen the whole deal in your mind, diluting the strong reasons you already had to buy it. It's this bizarre paradox where adding a small positive can actually make you less likely to buy. And this effect is shown perfectly in another famous experiment. So this is a really famous study that just nails how the options we're presented with completely change the reasons we cook up in our heads. Let's say you're being offered a subscription to a magazine. Here are your first two choices. Option A, you get the print edition for $59. Or option B, you can get both the print and the digital editions for $125. Just think for a second about which one you'd probably go for. Okay, so when a group of students was actually given this choice, the results were pretty clear. About a third of them went for the cheaper, print-only option. But a big majority, 68%, chose the more expensive print and digital bundle. Now for the twist. The researchers decided to introduce a third option. And on the surface, this new option is a total dud. I mean, no rational person would ever choose it. So logically, it shouldn't really change anything, right? Okay, here's the new menu of choices. You still have print for $59. You still have print plus digital for $125. But now there's option C, digital only, for $125. Wait, what? Why in the world would anyone pay $125 for just the digital version when you can get both print and digital for the exact same price? This is what's known as a decoy. And the result of adding this decoy is just brilliant. With that completely useless option on the table, the number of people choosing the $125 print and digital bundle skyrockets from 68% all the way up to 84%. That decoy, which nobody actually chose, gave people a powerful new reason. It made the print and digital options suddenly look like an unbelievable bargain. Their brain could do a simple comparison between B and C and conclude, wow, in option B, I'm basically getting the print version for free. This whole phenomenon actually has a name. It's called choice architecture. It's a term coined by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein, and the idea is that our decisions are always shaped by the context and the environment they're presented in. And by carefully designing that context, you can actually guide choices toward a certain outcome, all without taking away a person's freedom to choose whatever they want.
So how does this actually apply to you in your business? Because this isn't just some abstract academic concept. Choice architecture is something you are dealing with and probably using every single day, whether you realize it or not.
You see it everywhere. Why are the sugary cereals right at a kid's eye level in the supermarket? Choice architecture. Why is there candy and magazines right at the checkout counter, tempting you when your willpower is low? Choice architecture. When an e-commerce site highlights a bestseller, or a piece of software comes with a pre-checked recommended setting, all of that is the deliberate design of your decision-making environment.
And this is the key takeaway. There is no such thing as a neutral way to present a choice. The moment you decide which products to show first, what features you're going to highlight, or what pricing tiers you're going to offer, you are actively shaping that decision. You are already a choice architect. So the final question really isn't if you're a choice architect. You are. The question is whether you're being a good one. Are you structuring the choices you offer your customers in a way that's just random and accidental? Or are you thoughtfully and intentionally designing an environment that helps your customers see and choose the value you're offering them? Something to think about.